Welcome to the Real Estate 401k Show. Here are your hosts, Ryan Gertis, Mike Weinstein, and Justin Frederick, helping you build a legacy of wealth through real estate. Powered by the Recon Group at West USA and the Frederick team with Fairway Mortgage. NMLS number 625918.
I don't know how it's been for you guys, but it has been boggling my mind. We keep hearing about recessions, and we keep hearing about, inflation and things like that. I still, on a Friday or Saturday night, can't get into a restaurant. People are still spending money. I was with my family Saturday night. We were coming back from Scuffle Fashion Square, and so we took Camelback over and took 44th Street up the road, and it was about 5:30, 6 o'clock. It's 115 degrees here, and we drive by Steak 44, and it was just congested with human beings in the parking lot. People are still spending money. So the question is, where are they getting this money? And I'm telling you, you do not want to let credit card debt bring you down, especially, Ryan, when we are talking about building wealth in real estate. The number one...
What are you doing here? Good move.
You got to watch the video for that one, guys. but credit card debt, this is where I think people are running out of cash. People are racking up credit card debt, Ryan.
I'm lost.
And credit card debt, to me, is going to be the number one wealth builder. I call my wife the dream crusher. Anytime I have an idea, there's never hey, well, let's think about it for a second. Let's talk about it. It's just, let's just crush the dream.
Like the fishing boat?
Yeah. like the fishing boat. But this is a wealth building crusher.
Oh, for sure. Well, I think that there's an asterisk there, because I think that the people that are using credit card debt properly are able to actually make a fortune off of it.
Absolutely.
Okay? So, all the studio equipment in here, which we have very high valued studio equipment here, was paid from points off of credit card, right? And that we paid 0 interest on. And so if you have any knowledge of how credit cards work, you know that if you just pay it off, you don't have to pay any interest.
And that's the trick, yeah.
So we're not going to break any myths or give any huge revelations to anyone who's ever had any exposure to credit card information. But the idea is, if you're using it correctly, it can be a huge wealth builder, but it is a wealth crusher if you just look at it like monopoly money. Like I looked at it when I was in my late teens, early 20s. I got out of college and they're like, "Oh, congratulations, here's a credit card for $2,000." $2,000? Well, hell yeah, I guess we're going to Vegas, right? And then we're going to go over there and blow it all over there, and then I'm like, oh, well, they only want $50 a month. That was a badass trip to Vegas, for $50 a month. I got this thing no problem. And then I look back and I'm like, I don't understand these numbers. I gave them $50. I owed them $2,000. And I still owe them like $2,012 after I paid my $50. Like, how does this work? Or whatever the exact numbers are, right? And so all of a sudden I started getting into this downward spiral where, okay, well, I budgeted out paying my minimum $50 on here, but my principal on my credit card keeps going up.
It's a racket.
And how the heck am I going to get this number down? And so for me, I was young, I was crazy, I was stupid, and I just looked at it as like free money, and then all of a sudden I'm way in over my head, and it's just one of those holes that just takes forever to dig out if you do not have the information.
All right, if you'd like to learn more about wealth building strategies, we encourage you just to break out your phone right now and text the word wealth to 623-AZ-RECON. That's wealth to 623-AZ-RECON to have a conversation with one of our real estate wealth managers. Okay, so let's talk about the right ways to use it. And it hasn't always been the case for me, okay? I'm a very, very responsible credit card owner or holder. But
that wasn't always the case.
That definitely was not always the case. But, you and I, we had lunch with one of our good friends and investor up in Show Low, I don't know, probably about a year ago now.
About a year.
And he was just talking about just how he pays his credit cards off. Nothing goes on the credit card unless you can't pay it. If you can pay it off the next day, then put it on the credit card because how you leverage points. And so for us, we have a Chase card that gives us Amazon points. So I buy a bunch of stuff for my house tax-free pretty much. And then, of course, we have a Southwest card to get points. So it drives my wife nuts because you can't see it on the camera, but the lovely Ashlyn, who helps put this entire show together for us every single episode, she also moonlights for my wife in her marketing business. So my wife actually pays her, and then my wife, we're married, right? Joint tax returns, everything like that. Then my wife invoices me, right? And I put it on my Southwest card.
I love that, dude.
That's the greatest right there. That is beautiful.
And she yells at me, and I said, listen, I said, right now you have a Southwest Companion Pass. And everybody thinks that's great. Oh, okay, so I got a Southwest Companion Pass. I fly somewhere, my wife goes on, she gets to fly for free. That's fantastic. The level of stress to ensure that you get that Companion Pass the following year is I'm putting everything on this card.
All of a sudden, you become like this super accountant. Hey, all right, hey, honey, we have like $500 a month more before the end of the year before we hit our Companion Pass. Make sure that you're not using your debit card at the gas machine. Yeah, it's all of those things. So I guess on that we talk about thresholds of credit cards. Okay, so I want to fold you in on this, Justin, because there's a threshold on credit card usage that does have a direct effect on your credit situation, right? So if you have a $20,000 limit, where do I need to be before it starts? Like, how much can I spend on that $20,000 credit card before you guys start saying, hey, pump the brakes, this is going to start having an adverse effect on your credit?
Now, it's different for everybody's situation, depending on where your credit scores are currently. I mean, you're going to have a positive effect if you're below 10%. Let's say that you have a mediocre credit score. Let's just say you're in like the 660 range, right? If you're hitting 20% on it, you're pretty much maxing yourself out as far as credit goes, to not negatively impact your credit scores. If you have an 800 credit score, typically you can be over 50% and not really see an impact to your credit score. But it really depends on where you're sitting at for your credit and what your histories look like for your credit. How long have you had these credit cards? How have you used them? But what I like to see with people is I like to tell generally with people, keep them below 20% of the balance. So if you have a $20,000 credit score, credit card. Yeah.
I wish my FICO was 22,000.
I want to see.
Hey, here's a point. I got you covered. Here's a point.
It's like Oprah. Everybody gets a point.
I want to see you keep it below $4,000 if you're going to keep an active balance. Now, if you're the type of person that pays it off every single month, like Mike's talking about, go wild. If you're paying it off, you can use it up to the limit. I just don't want to have your credit pulled while it's maxed out.
Yeah, but back to, and that's fine. I understand some people keep a balance or whatever the case is. But if you're playing the points game, if you're trying to get miles and you're trying to get points, and you keep a balance, now you keep paying interest every month.
Correct.
So it's not, it's not
counteractive.
worth
It's a counterbalance.
It's a counterbalance.
Exactly.
Well, that's why they give it to you, because they want to incentivize you to max that bad boy out so that they can get interest, which typically you see that happen in a lot of Americans.
So my concern is, I think we had right now the average credit card interest rate is 22.5%.
Actually, we just found that it's 24.58, and that's based on Forbes.
Let's just call it 25%. That's a
sounds
quarter.
good, yeah. And it's up from 22.16 from May, and that was from Forbes as well.
So back to how we started this, we see people in restaurants, we see people shopping, we see people dropping money to go see Taylor Swift or whomever that's out there, but Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks are coming to town. I might have to. I don't care. She might be 108 and coming on stage in a walker, and I still got something for her.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I love
got something
Stevie.
for
I
Taylor
hope
Swift?
she tunes into this.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, Taylor Swift is, never mind, my son's in the studio.
Can you
but
sing some of those songs for me?
I could. Yes. It's could or would I?
Would you?
No.
Dang it.
But I think that going back to credit card debt's going to be the wealth building crusher. You know, obviously, anyone with a real estate license can go out and help any of our listeners go out and buy a home. Not every single agent is a real estate wealth manager and can truly help you build wealth. Are you seeing, because what I'm thinking is going to happen is we are in the next 12 months, more and more people are no longer going to be able to qualify to buy a home simply because they're throwing everything on their credit card.
We are definitely seeing first-time home buyers, even second-time home buyers. And I feel like a lot of the people that are buying their second home incurred the debt from the first home, just making home improvements, putting furniture in the house, things like that. We're definitely seeing, I would say in the past 12 months, a lot more credit card usage and carrying balances, and that is having a negative impact on debt to income ratios and qualifying for loans. So in a lot of cases right now, we're getting these people in and we're having to put them in so-called credit repair, but it's more so paying down balances to get to a credit score where they can actively qualify for the home and the size of the home that they're looking to qualify for.
All right, if you're looking for strategies into building wealth in real estate and want to have a conversation like this with one of our real estate wealth managers, all you got to do is text the word wealth to 623-AZ-RECON. Again, text the word wealth to 623-AZ-RECON. Ryan, we're talking about personal horror stories. I was a junior in college. That was the first year that I went away to college. And they call it WOW Week. Welcome week, right?
Okay.
And so I'm walking along the courtyard, which used to be called Southern California College, now Vanguard University, and freaking Citibank's there, handing out shirts, handing out hats. I want a shirt, I want a hat, and next thing you know, I've got this credit card, right? The Citibank credit card. Wasn't until years later, my wife, who is an expert when it comes down to credit, she actually wrote books on this stuff way back in the past. And I just, I mentioned it, like, I love Citibank. Customer service, they call me every month. Well, Mike, why do they call you every month? Just remind me that I owe some money. She goes, that means you're past due. And it was like, fast forward a couple of years, we're married. She's now taking over the bills, and she's looking at the Citibank credit card, and she's just looking at the balance, and it keep going up. She goes, I'm right now, out of my own checking account, I'm about to pay for our first date. Am I? I'm like, yes, you are.
You showed her.
But I was taller than her, had a driver's license, I own a
Gotcha.
home. Yeah.
I'll tell you about my last credit card mistake, and that was we got an American Express through Costco because we shop there all the time, and a buddy of mine says, "Hey, we're gonna all go out golfing." All right, cool. Yeah, so we go, and there's about 16 of us. So there was quite a few of us, and then we all go to the 19th hole afterwards, and we're all having cocktails and food and whatnot. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be generous, and I picked up the bill for everybody, and I couldn't quite afford it at the time. I was probably in my early 20s, something like that.
You dumbass.
I know. And then I got the bill, and I was like, shit. I paid for it on credit, and then I cut up that credit card, and it wasn't for 10 years before I got another one.
Good
and
for
so,
you. Good for you.
I chipped away at it, and then it was about about 10 years ago or 15 years ago before I got another one, and then that thing. Here's what I do. This is my habit. Whenever I get gas, there's not enough time to pick up the phone and call somebody to get some work done. There's not really enough time. It's kind of dead time right there. There's nothing that she can get really done.
Perhaps maybe you could look at the text I send you during that time and get back to me. That'd be nice.
No, you don't get that time. My credit cards get that time.
Right.
And I pay off my credit cards in full every single time I get gas. And so sometimes it happens 3 times a month. Sometimes it happens twice a month. But nonetheless, it always happens every single month. And so for decades, well, a decade and a half at least, I haven't paid one dime in interest.
Yep.
And so that's the horror story along with the win.
All right, so then let's fast forward. Let's all put our dad hats on.
Okay.
What's the lesson for your kids when it comes down to credit cards?
So for me, with my children, I want them to have 2 cards as soon as they can get them. Just like you were saying earlier, don't put something on the card unless you can pay for it cash. I want them to make sure that they get cards that will allow them to get points so that they can buy cool things with it, or maybe buy me a cool Christmas gift from Apple or
I pointed out a
Amazon.
Rolex to my son the other day. I said, Daddy wants that Rolex.
Yeah.
Daddy can't afford it, but hopefully you can one day.
I'm going to teach you how to afford that for me, son. But I'm very similar to Ryan. I don't want to pay interest on those, but I do want to accumulate the points, and I want to accumulate a great credit score. So I'm going to have them get 2 credit cards, one for gas, one for groceries and essentials, emergencies as well. But you know what? You need to have cash and savings for emergencies to make sure you can pay that back, but at least you're getting points from it. That's what I'm saying.
I
2 credit cards.
respectfully disagree.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to say don't get anything until you have an actual career job. And the moment that you turn 18, you're going to be authorized users on a number of my credit cards. And then you can piggyback off of my spending and my credit card habits because I don't trust them. I don't think that any kid is really equipped with that type of discipline. I think that when even if they're in college, they're going to get stuck into these situations where it's like, oh, hey, let's go do this.
What's worth it? It's better to go have a good time.
Yeah, hell yeah, let's go do it. Take it out of your wallet. You're not going to get it, right? Now, make you an authorized user, and I'm going to make sure that you do not get your own credit card under my name. You're not going to be able to just go use my credit, but I'm going to make you an authorized user. You get to piggyback off of my credit. You get to piggyback off of what I'm spending, so on and so forth. Now, it may not have as positive an impact being an authorized user, but it's still going to keep their credit as a positive.
So you're telling me if they would be willing to put a big balance on their card, they wouldn't just sign up for their own credit card to begin with?
He asked what my advice to them would be.
Oh, okay.
My advice is get none. Be an authorized user on mine. Don't even touch mine. But you're going to benefit from my credit card usage.
I'm going to tell my kids to do this, but I feel like they're still going to sign up for their own credit cards because I would have done the same damn thing myself.
I'm sure they will.
And I got a $10,000 credit card, and we took it to the bar.
Hell yeah, you did.
Well, it really doesn't matter. The question is kind of stupid because our kids don't listen to us anyway.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, but Justin's point, they ain't going to listen to a damn thing that we say.
But I think my lesson is always read the fine print, understand the fine print and what it means, and that T-shirt is stupid. That T-shirt is dumb. Whatever.
It's not worth $5,000.
When they're at the airport handing you free crap, I can tell you right now, it is not worth it.
Nothing in life is free.
No.
I would say if they were in a position, they were financially responsible, above and beyond just reading the fine print, understanding the thresholds, like the Southwest credit card, for instance. For me, it really has no benefit above $130,000 a year. Okay, because $130,000, I get my companion pass.
Correct.
And then in order to get on A-list, you need to do a certain number of flights. That's not based on how much you spend. Mm-hmm. That's on how many flights you take. So once I hit my $130,000, I switch over to my next credit card. Okay, and then I go over to which is Capital One Venture Card, which for us there's really not a cap or a threshold. It's just you keep accumulating points, right? And then of course there's the items that you can buy where you can double, triple your points. I'd say keep your eyeball on that, because if I were to go and rent a car when I book a trip to San Diego through Southwest, then I do get double, triple points depending on which hotel or which car rental company that I work with. So these are just other perks and benefits that a lot of people overlook. And then the third one is hook it up to all those other apps that you have on your phone. So if you hook up your Southwest card to your Uber
Wallet?
app,
or
your wallet or whatever, then whenever you take an Uber ride, you're still paying with Southwest, but then you get additional points off of that as well. So There's all these other there's all these
Learning
other
some
little
stuff right now.
benefits out there that you can really capitalize on the points and what you can get from them. So,
All right. So
that's-
before I was rudely interrupted, so the third thing that I would advise my kids on, but good stuff, pal. I appreciate it. Is stay away from any type of department stores, the Home Depots and stuff like that. I once went to a winter formal. I had no money for a suit. And it wasn't Nordstrom's. I can't even afford Nordstrom's now, but it was like a Bullock's, like an old Broadway. Remember the Broadway? It was Broadway.
wow,
Anyways,
dude,
that's how
you're
long
bringing
ago it
back,
was.
dude,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I needed a new suit, so I took out a.
Did you like
card.
chisel your
Oh,
name
my
down
God.
there on a little epitaph
All right.
when you were like signing your name, dude?
It's when they used to slide the credit cards. With the,
I love those machines. Yeah. All right. Well, if you like some more, I guess credit card strategies. I don't know whether we're certified to be able to provide credit card advice, but we definitely have some strategies when it comes down to real estate to help you build personal wealth through real estate. All you got to do is text the word wealth to 623-AZ-RECON. Again, text the word wealth to 623-AZ-RECON. That was a long one. Let's check the battery life. Earmuffs.
Thank you for joining us on the Real Estate 401k Show. If you want more information on how to build wealth, click on the link or text us at 623-297-3266. That's 623-AZ-RECON.